Hey people, I just made the greatest archaeological find in history. I dug up this 3,000-year-old carousel in Cairo, Egypt. You know, a carousel is that thing you see at the state fair with the horses going around in a circle and the banners flying over it. And it was easy to date it because Solomon had signed his name on it, and that was 1000 BC. So yeah, it's at least 3,000 years old. So Wiki will tell you that this word carousel comes from the Spanish for a little battle, used by crusaders to describe a combat preparation exercise and game played by the Turkish and Arabian horsemen in the 12th century. You know, they would ride around in a circle before they went to battle and swing their sword and wave their flag and shoot arrows. You know, kind of like an old Western movie where the Indians would surround the wagon train. Wiki will tell you that it was a ceremony parade of knights and noblemen on horseback that didn't come around till the 17th century, you know, to celebrate special events. And it wasn't till the 18th century that carousels were being built and operated at various fairs. And Solomon had talked about it in the Songs of Solomon 6:4 here, the mutual delight. You know, beautiful you are, my love, as Tirzah, and lovely, carousel, you know, as an army with banners. You know, you used to see all the old carousels, you know, they would have banners on top of them. That's how you could spot it at the fairs, where all the banners was up there. And so, as usual, they've misinterpreted every one of these words because they don't want you to know what this says. But this carousel gives us a clue, you know. The Cairo, K-I-R-U, is Cairo is to give gyro, to turn, to gyros. You know, the Carousel, you know, out there in the market, all the hustle and bustle, everything turning and going around. But Wiktionary will tell you that this carousel probably came from caro, meaning cart. You know, the cart sales, and the hustle and bustle of the city, and the carts running around in the circle, gyro, doing sales. So this Songs of Solomon 6 is short. It's just 13 lines. And I read the last two in a movie this morning where I explained these hatches, where I figured out what these hatches on top of the letters mean. It's in this movie called Homer in the Bible, My Homies, where I read the last two lines. But these hatches that are on top are reading directions. And I explained, you know, you read the bottom according to the directional signs that's underneath, which there is none in this verse. And after you read the bottom, then you go and read the top again according to their directional signs. And so this is a IPE. And then you go to the top and it says just read the PE again. And so it's I-Pepe, P-E-P-E, Pepe. And so my mama's side of the family was very French, and Pepe is what I call a grandpa, Pepe. And, you know, Pepe, and then it starts with A's, it reads backwards too, you know, Pepeet. You know, Pepeet, Pepeto. In Spanish they'll say Pepeet Aroit is daddy hoopit. You know, Pepea the daddy, Aro, it to go around it. And you can see that here, Pepe, T, Pepeet, A-R-O-I-T, Aroit. But it's the grandfather, Pepe, as in Pepe Le Pew. Le Pew is Hebrew word for when God blowed life into his nostrils. Le Pew is your nostrils. Pepe Le Pew is the grandfather of stink. Pepe, the grandfather of La Pew, of the snows. You know, the Pe is the face, or the pi is the mouth, and the W is connected. And so your nose is, you know, your mouth connected to the air goes in. La Pew, of the nose, the king of the nose, the biggest smell. Pepe was always trying to get some loving, but he didn't realize that he smelled awful. He was the grandfather of Le Pew. I don't know if other people use that. I know my father's family was French too, and pew would be a word we use for when something stinks. Pew. Pew. And so Solomon, that's the sun and the moon, and that's what this is actually talking about. And after I do this, and I'm gonna read this whole chapter for you. But it's a love affair between the sun and the moon is what it's talking about the birds and the bees and the sun and the moon. It's the carousel of the sun and the moon going around the earth. So we got the full moon tonight, and I just missed the picture. It was sweet out there a while ago, but I just checked it. It's all cloudy now. But the moon is the rabbit. And so the rabbit's here. This is the ears. And he's looking in this direction. This is the tail. A lot of people say that the rabbit's bent over with a mixing pot here. But you can see it here, if the ground was like this and the rabbit's facing this way. And it's because the rabbit's fast. That's where that comes from. The rabbit moves 12 degrees every day. It takes about another hour every day before you see the moon come up. And it's faster. It catches up with the sun and it passes the sun on a new moon. And then 28 days, it goes all the way around again. 14 days it's full. It goes and dives into the moon. It dives into the sun again. And comes out a new moon. And so it's associated with the rabbits because rabbits breed faster than anything. You put 2 rabbits in a cage and by the end of the year you're going to have 60 rabbits in there. And so rabbit is the Hebrew word. They'll give it multitudes, many, or fast, and that's where that comes from. You can see in the line above this that it ends with this word they say is among the lilies, but it's in Susans, Susnis, in Susans. And in Susans, in seasons, the seasons turn. That's where your word Susan comes from. It's that thing you put on the table to spin around, to pass the food around the table. In the Susans. So, I pay to royalty. Royalty is the king you. Roy is the old word for king. As in Egypt, when the king died, he became the son Ra, and his son became the royalty, the king. And then when he died, he would go replace his father, the son, and he would be the new Ra, the new son. And so I father to the king, that you, and then the line above the I here means you give it another I. I contorts, K-T-R-X, K-T-R-T-S-E, contorts. Contorts is where your word contortion come from, N-A-V-E, the contortion of. Contortion comes from contort, where to whirl or twist together, from the torque, to twist, to make contortion, and the contortion of N-A-V is the N is the cycle, and the A is the knowledge, and then Vav is connected, of life, and it means to know, K-N-O-W, to know the cycle of knowledge, connected life. I father to the king, you contortion of the carousel, of the turn. But before there was horses on carousels, there was rabbits. It's ancient, though ancient rabbit carousel, the 3 hairs and the 3 ears. It's on old ancient churches. The rabbit carousel and the rabbit on the moon stirring up infinity of life. They say when you die, your soul goes to the moon and then it gets put back in another life, infinity life coming from the rabbit on the moon. Carousels, K-I-R-U-S-E with the dot up here, L-S. Final M is a S. Carousels. And then this word starts with an A, so it reads backwards. And people were reading this as yummy. Y-M-M-A-Y-M-M-E, a yummy. That's where they're getting that awesome. That's where your word yummy come from. But it's actually the Maya. And so the Maya, that's the word for the first day in the Greek Bible. And day 1 in Genesis 5 is 1, Maya, the 1. You see it here, the day is come the Ra, come the son of Mia, the 1. And then this K-N-N with the dot in it, and then D-G, and the G has a dot in it, so it's 2 G's. And when you double G's up, the first one becomes an N. And you see that in the Greek for the word angel is always spelled with 2 G's. And so it's Kanadin. Kanadin glute. Kanadin glute. Kanadin glut. And so kanad, coming from kanan, to eat, to munch. Kanad. And kanand, K-A-N-E-N-D. The 2 N's. Past participle of kanan, to eat, to munch. And glute is where your word gluttony comes from, and it means to fill beyond capacity, too much, to eat too much. And so it's talking about the moon, a full moon here. It's 8 beyond capacity. It's full beyond capacity of the Mia, the first day, the sun, the yummy, and it's a full moon. I, Father, to the king you make contortion of, the carousel. You twist the king. You make twist the cycle knowledge of, the cycle of life. Cycle of life, of the carousel. He's a father. Everything's spinning around the carousel. The Mia, the one cannot to eat too much. So I believe this Mia, it doesn't mean the first day of the week as in Sunday. It means the first day of the year as in Easter. In a full moon of the Mia full moon, the first full moon is when the sun crosses back over the equator. You start a new year at Easter. August used to be the 6th month back then. So if you missed this movie, make sure you catch it, and I explain all the reading directional symbols that I've just recently figured out.
Don't forget, hooty-hoo, tooty-hoo. I won't forget.
Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.